So, I wanted to talk about a couple of things today. The first thing is that, first of all, let me just say I'm using the Sony a6400, and today I am using my Viltrox 23mm f1.4 lens for this whole vlog, or whatever you want to call it. So what I want to talk about is I conducted an experiment for the last 14 days. I carried all my lenses with me everywhere I went because I wanted to see, you know, I've been like really struggling with zoom lens and prime lens and trying to figure out what's the best way to go about shooting stories, you know what I mean? And so I took my Samyang 12mm f2.0, I took my Viltrox 23mm f1.4, I took my Sony 35mm f1.8 OSS, my Sony 50mm f1.8 OSS, I took my Sony 18-105 f4, the zoom lens, I took my Sony 55-210 zoom lens, and I took my Sony kit lens, the 16-50. So I had all these lenses with me all week, and I'm shooting a film, which is a fictional tale that I wrote, and I'm also shooting a documentary at the same time. So I'm actually working on two stories at the same time. And so I found that 90% of the time I was reaching for this, the 23mm Viltrox, and my Sony 50mm f1.8. Now the Viltrox doesn't have any stabilization on the lens, and my a6400 doesn't have any stabilization either. And so I found that it really taught me how to kind of make the camera a part of my body, you know, like I found out that it doesn't matter if you have that stabilization. Like I didn't use a gimbal, I have a gimbal, I have the Crane M2, so pretty much all of my lenses except for the 18-105 work with that gimbal. But I didn't use a gimbal. I just mostly was handheld pretty much all the time. And I learned that, you know, it's kind of a Zen thing. You just have to figure out how to really connect, like have contact with your body with the camera, and you can smooth it out, you know. And also, I kind of like the camera shake sometimes, you know, like I don't like everything to look perfect all the time. So I like the look of the Viltrox, you know, the f1.4 allows me to be creative. It allows me to get, you know, blur in the background, or it allows me to make everything clear. I mean, I can choose what I want. And the same thing with the 50mm. You know, and the 50mm obviously is much closer in, it's better for kind of portraits, and so it feels a lot more intimate, you know. And you know, it's kind of cool because the Viltrox at 23mm also feels kind of vulnerable. You know, like I get some cool shots from far away and they seem big because it's a wide lens, you know. So I learned a lot. So I think I'll be carrying around the Viltrox 23 and the Sony 50mm pretty much all the time. And I'll take the other ones as I feel I need them, you know. And I might keep the 18-105 in my bag just in case, because it gives me a lot of flexibility. But I feel like I have a lot of flexibility with just those two lenses, you know, and especially the Sony camera that I have is a crop sensor camera, so the Viltrox 23mm really looks like a proper 35mm on a full frame, and the 50 looks like a 75. So you know, I don't really understand how all of that works, and I know that the aperture changes too, supposedly, but I don't know. You know, I like the way they look. That's all I know. And I feel that I can tell a story with those two lenses and no other lenses. Like I can just have those two, and I can pretty much cover everything that I want. So now I have been using my Samyang 12mm for some establishing shots because it's like really wide, and I love the way it looks. Like I love the colors that come out of that lens. And by the way, all of these lenses combined cost me less than $1,000 on eBay. Like I bought everything used, and they all pretty much showed up like brand new, you know. And if not brand new, they were in excellent condition. So I highly recommend that. I mean, do your due diligence, you know how to use eBay. Make sure that the seller has a lot of reviews. I only deal with people who have over a 99.6 rating. Like I just came up with that in my own head. And they have to have, you know, probably a few thousand reviews before I'll deal with them, you know, unless I really, really want something. But you know, eBay does have a 90-day return policy, and so I think it's as safe as Amazon. So anyway, that's the way I go about it. So the other thing I wanted to talk about today was this. That's the lenses. And also, just so you know, yes, I'm working on this project about my biological father. I will be putting the first section of it on here on YouTube pretty soon. You know, I'm working on this film. I'm going to do it in sections and then eventually put it all together and make a full-length movie out of it. And I'm sharing my process for those of you who haven't been following me. I wanted to share the process of making this film, especially for somebody like me. I'm a solo theater artist, and I'm just really learning how to get into this filmmaking thing. And I've learned so much. Like, I'm so excited about everything that I'm learning, and so I wanted to share the process. You know, I actually share my development of my plays all the time as well with the public. Like I've developed plays in the streets, you know, New York City, Asbury Park, New Jersey, London, LA. Like, I have actually rehearsed. I've tweeted out where I am. People show up in lawn chairs. I do Q&As with people. So I really, really enjoy sharing my process because I learn a lot from that. And, you know, people tend to tell the truth when you do it that way. When, you know, you're around a bunch of strangers and, you know, they don't know who you are, and they're not like, oh, you're my friend, you're the greatest. Like, they, you know, I tend to learn more from people who I don't know, you know. So people will sit there for 2 hours. You know, my plays are really long. So anyway, I thought it would be cool to share this as well because I'm learning, so I'll probably learn a lot if I get any feedback. And if not, you'll see somebody who's kind of flying by the seat of his pants at the beginning. And, you know, more and more I feel like I'm really starting to get a grasp on how to do this. You know, I'm really, really learning. And probably these videos look a lot better with each one, because I know at the beginning, you know, I was trying to color grade. I didn't know whether to use a picture profile or not in the camera. Like, I was trying to do some advanced stuff. I really didn't know what I was doing, and so I'm learning. You know, I'm an artist who's not afraid to make mistakes in front of people, you know. And, you know, a lot of times people, they think they saw my play, or you'll think you saw the film if you follow me during the process of development. But I guarantee you, if you get to the end, and if you come with me the whole way, and if you get to see the finished product, you'll see that, you know, what I finish with has nothing to do with, you know, it doesn't look anything like the process or the journey, you know. Because that's what it is. It's a journey. You know, it's time to make mistakes. It's time to try things. It's time to, like, just be fearless in you know, just going out there and giving things a shot and seeing how it works. You know, I like to do that. So anyway, that's that. So the other thing I wanted to say real quick today was, you know, I know that everybody has to do what they have to do to survive as an artist. You know, I mean, I've been very fortunate over the years because I have rarely had to have any kind of job outside of my art. You know, like, I was in the music business for a very long time. I really never had to get a second job. You know, I was able to survive just doing music, you know, as a session singer, a producer, an artist myself. I had bands. I mean, but, you know, I worked incredibly hard. Like, I worked so hard. And anybody who knows me will tell you, if you ever get to speak to anybody who knows me, that, you know, you'd be hard pressed to find somebody who works harder than me. I feel pretty comfortable saying that. I'm not saying I'm the best or the most talented or the most gifted or whatever, but I work my ass off, you know. I work like Kobe, you know, like, I work. And so, you know, but there are times, and I have, especially during the pandemic, I've had to do things outside of my art to make some money to pay these bills. And I got to say that you have to do what you have to do. You have to survive. You know, the goal is to stay indoors. You know, you got to, you know, sometimes you have to take care of your family if you have children or a spouse or, you know, any kind of partner or whatever. You know, like you got to do your part. You got to survive. However, and I'm not giving advice, okay? I'm just giving you how it is for me. Sometimes when you're doing what you have to do, sometimes you got to step away from that too. And sometimes you have to say, you know what? I don't need as much money this week, you know. I need to feed my spirit and feed my soul, you know, and just step off and do something like this. Because sometimes doing what you have to do and stepping out of what you want to do or what you were born to do, you know, what you need to do, sometimes stepping out and doing other things will destroy your soul, will just break your spirit. I mean, it'll break you down, you know. It can do that. I mean, it has tried to do that to me a few times. But, you know, I mean, you just have to take a deep breath. You have to really put good things in your body. You know, make sure you pay attention to your nutrition, to your rest. You know, like really take care of yourself. You know, have love in your life. There's a train passing by, so excuse me if it's a little loud. But I mean, you have to feed your mind, body, spirit. Let me let this train pass real quick. You have to feed your mind, body, spirit. You have to keep that in order. So while yes, you have to do what you have to do to survive, you also have to really continue to nurture what you were born to do and what you want to do and what you need to do. You have to continue to nurture that because, and this pandemic is a good example. You know, if you came into the pandemic really, really ready to do some kind of project, like if you were like on your game, like really were just, you know, kind of steeled and at the top of your craft, and then if you allowed the pandemic to just cut you down, and if you sat around and ate potato chips and watched TV all day, and if you know, did what you had to do, but didn't continue to work on your craft, another train, then you might come out of this pandemic 18 months later, worse. Excuse me. You might have come out of this pandemic 18 months later, not quite as good as you were going in. You know, like maybe you had a play ready to perform and you forgot the lines. It would be understandable. You know, maybe you're working on a film, you stopped. Maybe you were writing a book, you know. Maybe you're an artist, you know, maybe you were painting and you just stopped. And now maybe you just can't seem to get it back together. You have to continue to work on your craft because that's who you are. That's what you do. That's what you need to survive, to live. I mean, you know, living is like a very layered kind of complex term. Like we're all alive, we're all living, right? So we have to like make money, we have to pay our bills, we have to like get to tomorrow. But living is also being alive, you know, being nurtured, nurturing yourself, being nurtured by others, being around other people who do the same thing that you do, like-minded people, you know. And if you can't be around them because of the pandemic, then you have to like go out of your way to keep in contact with these people, and you have to continue to do your work. So again, I'm not saying don't do what you got to do, because you have to do that. You have to survive. That's part of the game. But if you're an artist especially, and I'm only speaking for artists, you know, and maybe for athletes too, you have to continue to do that. Otherwise, in a sense, you will die. Something in you will die. That's how I feel. Fight me on that if you want. That's okay. I'm not going to fight back. But that's how I feel. You must continue to feed your soul. You must continue, in my case, to write your plays, to keep memorizing your words. My solo plays are 2.5 hours long. Now think about that. Have you ever seen a play on Broadway that's like 2 hours, 2.5 hours? Yeah, well, there were probably like 3, 4, 6, 10, 15 actors on stage. I'm on stage by myself, so all the words are mine. It's a lot of words. So I have to keep rehearsing, I have to keep working, I have to keep going out on the street, you know, finding a playground or something to like, you know, emulate a theater. I have to make these films. I have to do this, you know, I'm learning something. I made a full-length film on my cell phone for the last 18 months, having no idea what I was doing, nothing, you know? But yo, I'm so proud of it. we're almost done. It's incredible. It started as a small project to like kind of help me to lift myself out of a depression, and it became a gigantic, collaborative, amazing, beautiful project that I am so proud of and so grateful to have the people working with me who are working with me as well. I mean, the experience has been something that I hope I get to talk about a lot, because it would be hard for me to describe it. But I want to describe it because I think it's so valuable for people to hear what I've been through over the past 18 months. So you have to keep writing. You have to keep painting. You have to keep sculpting. You have to keep taking photos. You have to keep editing. You have to keep learning. You have to keep cooking. You have to keep, you know, doing things for yourself that make you feel good. So I'm going to end this with that. All right? That's all I got to say. Thank you so much for following me. I hope you're well. I hope everybody that you love is well, and if not, my heart goes out to you, because I know it's been an incredibly difficult time. You know, it's been really, really crazy, but I hope you're feeling optimistic. I'm actually feeling optimistic today because I took the time to do this, and trust me, I did not have time to do this today, but I took the time to do it because this actually took time away from my film. But you know what? I felt like I have to do this because this is something I'm trying to learn how to do as well. And this can only make me a better filmmaker as well. You know what I mean? Like the work that I'm doing, making this film and doing this documentary, the more I do this kind of work where it doesn't really matter all that much if I get all the technical stuff right. And, you know, this is where I'm like taking risks and taking chances. And, you know, I'm sure there's plenty of people who go watch, you know, Gerald Undone and Danny Gewirtz and Potato Jet and all these, you know, YCI, all these amazing, amazing artists. I'm sure they look at me and go, this dude right here has no idea what he was doing, clearly. I mean, and that's fine, because they don't know what I do. But hopefully they'll come back and they'll see finished art, like real projects, you know, movies, plays. You know, maybe they'll see me in a theater at some point. But I'm just trying to share this with people who are open and willing to grow and to continue to evolve and to do new things. You know, because when you start doing something new, eventually it might become something that you own, you know, something that you evolve into. And now you've accumulated more of all of this stuff that you already have, that you already do, that you already are. You're now bigger and grander and broader and better. You know what I mean? You have more to offer, more to contribute. I mean, that is humbling. You know, like, imagine having like 15 different ways to express yourself creatively, to say what you want to say, you know, to share, to somehow maybe contribute to this world. You know, because that's what art's about to me. Like, it ain't all about us. You know what I mean? It ain't all about me. It ain't all about you. It's about all of us. So I just misspoke. I said it ain't all about us. It is all about all of us. And so that's a good place to stop. Thanks so much for watching. See you next time. Peace.